Hello, sir. Now we are going to present the results of analysis of video games sales data. Here's the topic of our project, and our group members are Wentao Ke, Zhu Xinghu, and Zhi Hanhao. And we searched for our data for this project on Kaggle, and we discovered the video game sales data was interesting enough to present. It contains over 10,000 data, which shows that the data is big enough to be convincing. And originally, the data was extracted from the VGC chart. Here's the site VGC chart, and the word in the bold here are the variables of our data. First, I will present the angles from which we analyze our data. We analyze our data from 5 angles. And here is the presentation of how we process our data. For example, there are only 3 games published in 2017, and there is only 1 game published in 2018. So we decided to drop this data. What's more, we also noticed that there were a lot of missing values, so we decided to remove them too. In the end, more than 16,000 data remain, which shows that analysis result is still convincing. Now we will present our analysis in PowerBI, and this is the dashboard. It gives an overview of our data analysis. We place the game type selection button at the top and use the chronology based on the year of publication of the games to make searching easier.
First, on this graph, we can observe the relationship between the game sales and the year visually. So we used a line graph where the X corresponds to the year and the Y corresponds to the sale in the region. So we can see the trend of the game sales with the year better. It's clearly that year with the highest game sales was 2008, with North American contributing the most sales. We can also control the timeline to choose the time interval to observe. So this one we choose the bar graph to show the sales performance of each publisher, with the X corresponds to the publisher and the Y corresponds to the sale. The graph shows that the publisher with the highest total sale is Nintendo, and for the top 50 games with the highest sales, Nintendo is also the most successful publisher. For platforms, we use the bar with the X corresponds to sales and the Y corresponds to each platform, with games on the PS2 platform being the highest sellers, followed by X360 and PS3. The type of game also has a big effect on the sales of the game. So we use the pie graph to reflect the number and the sale of different types of games. For action games and sports games, they have the highest number of games as well as the highest sales. However, for shooting games and role-playing games, although the number of games is not very high, but the sales are third and fourth place, so which proves those two kind of games are well made. For the relationship between sales and region, we want to see the trend between regional sales and the global sales through a scatter graph. Based on the trend of image, we want to see the North American region has the most clearly linear relationship. That means the higher the sales in the North American, the most significant increase the global sales. The pie graph also proves our point that North America has the highest sales, followed by Europe. Secondly, by looking at the bar graph, we can see that sales in North America and Europe are growing very fast, especially around 2008, but the sales in Japan are almost not changed.
In this project, the data warehouse model we use is star schema. Because we have only one fact table, and we have multiple dimensions, and the data in each dimension table has a one-to-many relationship with the fact table, meaning that each item can appear multiple times in the fact table, can only appear once in the dimension table. Building the star schema helps us to analyze the data in multiple dimensions. For example, between publishers and game sales, between game types and game sales, and so on. Finally, here is a summary of our project. By processing and visualizing the data, we can clearly know the relationship between game sales and game publishers, platforms, genres, regions, and other dimensions, and understand the base game in each genre, and the top 10 games and the top 10 publishers and so on. At the same time, we found some interesting things. Firstly, based on the data of more than 40 years, the overall sales of games are on an upward trend. Secondly, the top 20% of the top 50 game publishers account for more than 80% of game sales, with Nintendo at the top of the list, about 12 times higher than the average. Thirdly, action games are the most popular game genre, with the number of games accounting for almost the same percentage of game sales as the number of games sold, both being close to 20%. North America accounts for almost 50% of sales, which is already half of the total. This is probably because the data for Asia only includes Japan. This is the full report of our project. Thanks for listening.